Hello, good people of the internet, and welcome back to Minecraft! Again, that's all I seem to do at the moment, but never mind. Today I'm showing you a little contraption that I built. This is version 2 already because I didn't like version 1 at all, and I just built version 2 without showing you version 1. I'll show you version 1 in a minute, it's just there. So basically this is a villager sorter. It's semi-automatic, you still have to press the button to tell it where you want your villager to go, but it will automatically put that villager in that place for you. At the moment, all of those places are inside this pen. I don't have any specific holding cells, but basically, different villagers, I just activated the reset there, doesn't matter. Different villagers will fall down these different gaps here. As you can see, where these fence gates are, where these signs are, villagers will fall down here. And then you can have water streams or holding pens or whatever you want, taking them different places or what have you. But the important thing is they each come out of a separate hole. Now there are 12 holes, I know, there are 13 types of villager. I'll get to that in a second. Now, say you have a villager here. Well, they're meant to be here because that's where they enter the system and that's where they sit. But they'll be bobbing up and down so you can trade with them. Except this guy is a nitwit and he's a bit useless. So, since this machine is designed for sorting villagers into a trading hall or a trading system, nitwits are a bit useless. So, if you do get a nitwit, if you haven't sorted or filtered them out before they enter the system, you can easily just kill them where they are here. But say we've got a different villager. Say we have a cleric. Now, I've kind of color-coded the buttons so that it's easier to tell which one's which. But we want the cleric to go into the cleric's box. So we hit this button. Pistons are retracted so that he falls down. As you could see, the water goes down with him so he doesn't take any fall damage. And this one extends, stopping any more villagers coming in. But once the cleric has exited the system, a new villager is automatically placed in this space. So this guy is a weaponsmith, so he'll be that one. As you can see, he goes down and he exits the system. Now, you probably didn't see what happened then, because it all kind of happened down there somewhere and it was a bit hidden. So what I'll show you is what happens when you press a button. And that is that whatever piston is behind the button you pressed extends, which pushes this line of blocks down on top of that piston there. Now, that will make this redstone block, or whatever redstone block, line up with a piece of redstone that you currently can't see. Here's one. That makes this redstone block line up with a redstone here, which powers the block it's on, which in turn, if you keep an eye on that block there, it's just above the sign and out this side a bit. If you have a look at that, it is parallel with the fence gate, or a fence gate. So it powers a fence gate. And what happens then, if I actually just nip down into the bottom of the system, when a fence gate is powered, it is then the only block in the wall that is open and allows villagers to fall down. So say this fence gate is open. If a villager is then washed in this direction, even if he hits this one first, because they are placed sideways, it's flush and he'll just get washed down here. Now, that is quite important because we have two holes in one corner here, so you have to individually open each fence gate. The other clever thing is that water gets dispensed from these dispensers at the ceiling height so that it flows the full length of the room. But that means that when this fence gate is open, this dispenser dispenses its water, and the villager is washed in this direction, falls down there. Likewise, when a middle fence gate is opened, both of these two are dispensed, which evenly washes the villager down here into the center. And all that means is that you can direct where the villagers go, into which holes, and it all works hunky-dory. All of that is done by a little bit of redstone just here. Now, it's difficult to see, but basically what happens is, if, say, I press the button for this line, this block would move down and the state would change. It turns from a observer into a redstone block, and this observer sees that change and powers this redstone here. Likewise, this one does if this one was pressed, so these two corners are linked, because it requires the same dispenser of water to be activated. And then this redstone line just runs off into the opposite corner over there, and activates that dispenser that you can just about see. Same for each corner. If either of these are pressed, the dispenser over there is activated. But the clever thing is that when you press the middle one, this block changes so that that observer and this observer both see that change, but because there is an observer in this line, it just continues straight through, because you haven't pressed this one hasn't changed. So the change continues through these observers and activates the redstone on both sides here, and activates both dispensers there and just there. So it's actually really compact and quite clever in my opinion. I know, I built it. But it just means that the right dispensers are activated depending on where you want the village to go. When a villager falls down, he activates a tripwire wherever he is, and that just turns on the redstone on top of these blocks. So say he fell down on this side, that turns all of this redstone on, and possibly a bit of redstone over there as well, and over there. But the important thing is that these three pistons are then activated, and because he falls down on this side, that means a button on this side has been pressed up there, and one of these lines is down. But then they get pushed back up, and that is the reset mechanism. The fence gate gets unpowered, and the observers see the change again and reactivate the dispenser, and picks the water back up. One last bit of redstone is this top part, which lines up with any of these redstone blocks, so that when any button is pressed, this redstone line is activated. And when that happens, it extends this piston here, which stops more villagers coming in briefly, but also this torch turns off so that this piston retracts and the villager falls down. One last thing that happens is that I've got a little pulse shortener just here, and that activates the fence gates. So this redstone activates that one, and then it powers that block, which activates this one. So it lets another villager through every time you press a button. One last thing that might be obvious is that villagers enter the system through the side just here. So you would have a stream of villagers, preferably separated by fence gates, so that they don't all bunch up and you don't get two at once, because that would be very sad. But basically, you just get a constant stream of them. While you have villagers to sort, you will get villagers through here. And one thing to note is that you can hook up to this redstone here, or here, doesn't matter, to activate the fence gates, or activate some system to let more villagers through every time you press the button. So this redstone is nice and accessible, and you can link it up to the controls in this system. So I'll show you one more time. It's fairly self-explanatory now, and well, it's difficult to see inside because there's so much kind of going on and there's too much redstone. But this guy's a cartographer, so I'll press this button. I'll try and follow him down even. As you can see, this fence gate is open, he gets washed into there. The dispenser picks up the water again, and it's all hunky-dory. That is about it, ladies and gentlemen. One thing I'll quickly show you is Mark 1, so that you can see all the vast improvements I've made in Mark 2. And here we are. It was very quick. So this is quite different. I won't explain it in detail, but the main reason I didn't like it is because the control room is full of rubbish. The control room is currently, it's a lot closer to the actual sorting system. So as you can see, this one layer of glass, they're sorted directly under here. But the villagers enter the system through a chute here. They end up on this block, and then whenever you press the button, the block retracts. But it just isn't nice, because the control room is full of all this rubbish. So my main desire for Mark II was to make the control room nice and empty so that you can actually see the buttons, but it did have the side effect in that you couldn't see them being sorted. Now, I don't really see that being an issue because this is more of a functional device than a pretty one. Well, I tried to make it prettier by emptying the control room, but I'll just quickly show you the redstone here. It's really, really basic. This is the central piston which lets the village down. You've got a different observer set up for the droppers and dispensers, and then a slightly different setup for the redstone here, but it's very much the same concept, just in a different form. Now, one thing I will say is the size of both of these is actually 13 by 13 by 13. It doesn't look like it, I know, but it is. So they're exactly the same size. This one is just a lot better. So if you really want a tutorial, I could possibly do one, but it's quite complicated, and that's probably why you'll want a tutorial, but it's going to be a pain to make, so please don't ask for one. But other than that, I think it's a pretty cool design. By what I've said about the redstone, I'm sure you can work it out. But yeah, there you go. Please use it in your world if you like it, etc, etc, etc. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!